welcome to a new video. Today I'm going to be sharing some romance recommendations, but I'm actually going to be sharing some romance recommendations that are closed door, like less spicy romances, whatever you want to call it. They're cleaner romances, basically. I feel like all of the romance recommendations right now are always for like the spicier the better, which is great, and I love a spicy romance book, but sometimes I need to like switch it up. Like sometimes when I'm just reading like all of the very popular spicy recommendations, it can feel very monotonous, like I'm reading the same book over and over. So to switch it up, sometimes I like to read like cleaner, more like rom-com style books. So and I've read quite a few this year. This isn't a very long list, but I'm sure I will have more to recommend in the future, so this might become a series, we'll see. But without further ado, let's get into the recommendations. First off is actually a holiday book, which is perfect for the season coming up, and that is The Matzo Ball by Jean Meltzer. This is a book based around Hanukkah and Christmas. The main character is the daughter of the rabbi in her area. Like, he's very prominent, famous in their little community, big community I should say. There's a lot of people like in this. It's in New York. Is it in New York? I'm pretty sure it's in New York. And she actually has a secret love for Christmas, even though she is Jewish and celebrates Hanukkah. She loves Christmas, and she actually writes Christmas romance novels, and she's kept that all a secret. Why she didn't just tell everyone, I'm not really sure, but she has to kind of navigate keeping that secret. And then this also has some really interesting chronic illness representation that I had never heard of this disorder before, but I learned a lot with it. I believe it was called chronic fatigue syndrome, which is kind of an overarching term. There's a lot of different variations that a person can experience with this, but it basically means what it says: chronic fatigue. Her body doesn't regulate like sleep-wake as well, and she just feels overtired, like physically cannot even get out of bed. She's so tired. So I learned a lot about that, which was even, you know, just like me personally, I'm fascinated by a lot of medical things, so I had like an interesting time with that. But also I loved the characters. I had to move my phone a bit because my mom was calling, so it might look a little different now, but I really loved these characters. I loved getting them, like seeing them fall in love. They were like childhood rivals and now have become a relationship, and it was just very cute. It was a long road for them to get there. There were lots of fights that happened, but it was just so enjoyable to read. Next, I have 3 books by the same author on here, but that's because I really, really love her books. And that is Sarah Adams. I have The Off Limits Rule, as well as The Temporary Roomie and The Cheat Sheet. I love all of these books. The Temporary Roomie and The Off Limits Rule do overlap a bit. They have the same characters, and then The Cheat Sheet is separate. I don't know which one. Actually, I think I love the Temporary Roomie one the best, but I love them all. The Cheat Sheet is a friends to lovers romance. It was so cute. They've been best friends since they were in high school, and something kind of almost happened in high school, but then she had a big injury. She is a ballet dancer, he's a football player, and she had to give up dancing on like a competitive level, like a professional level, like she wanted to. And so it never felt like the right time after she went through all of that. And so they've just continued to be friends all this time. And then for a PR thing for his football career, they fake date, and it's just it's so beautiful. And it's very much like mutual pining, but they don't know that they love each other. And then I really like the hero is very much an acts of service kind of guy, and he does all of this for her and all these different things. He's paying for things for her and she doesn't know it. And I love it. I loved it. I love this book. Definitely recommend it. The Temporary Roomie, I also really love. I guess I could start with The Off Limits Rule because that's technically the first in the series, but this is a best friend's brother romance, which or brother's best friend, other way around. It's very cute. This is a girl who's moving back home to Nashville. She had tried to live on her own. She is a hairdresser, and she has a son, I believe. I think it was a son. She has a kid. So single parent romance, and she just wasn't able to make enough money on her own. So she moves home where her family can help her raise her son. The dad is completely out of the picture, and she moves in to her brother's house, who the brother's friend is also living there, if I'm remembering this all correctly. Or like she moves into this guy's house because the brother was going to be a roommate, but then he's not. It's something like that. Either way, she's living in someone's house, and this best friend of the brother is there a lot. And so they are off limits, hence the off limits rule. But they slowly fall for each other anyway, and they kind of have to sneak around the brother, and it's a big deal because she, you know, all of her decisions are influenced by the fact that she's a single parent, and it's just really sweet getting them to like slowly admit their feelings for each other. They were the cutest. I loved them, and I loved like the dynamic of like keeping it a secret and all that. It was so much fun. And then in the sequel we get the brothers romance, which is with one of the sister's friends, who's also a hairdresser. She is pregnant with a guy who she's no longer talking to. She told him she was pregnant and he disappeared. And her apartment like floods, or the gas leaks or something, and she needs somewhere to live, and his sister has just moved out of his house and married the other guy from the first book. Not a spoiler really, because it's a romance. And so she takes over where the sister had been living because she needs somewhere to live. And he's actually, I want to say he's an OBGYN or he's a pediatrician, one or the two. And so they hate each other just because, like, they've always just been pranking each other kind of relationship. So like enemies to lovers, but like soft enemies to lovers. And they have to learn to tolerate each other in the same house, but he also, like, sometimes the doctor side of him just can't give up, and he is asking like questions and like trying to take care of her, and she wants nothing to do with that. She's having a hard time accepting even the fact that she is pregnant. So it is just a really fun book, and I love a book that has like a pregnancy trope in it, so I had a lot of fun with this one. Highly, highly recommend anything by Sarah Adams. I think I've read all of her books. There might be another one, I can't remember, but highly, highly recommend. I will say, and I'm uploading this next week, but as of today, the 22nd, I saw on Sarah Adams' Instagram, she's having a hard time with getting her books on Amazon right now. For some reason, they've taken down her profile. So if you look it up and they're still not there, I'm sure they'll be back soon. If not, check out your local library or something, or check out her website, see other places to buy them, because they're really, really phenomenal. I love these books, so still check them out, even if Amazon's being weird. Next is Falling for Your Best Friend by Emma St. Clair, and I've heard a lot of her books are like clean closed doors. This is just the only one I have read so far, and I really loved it. It was really cute, and this book has some really, really phenomenal like mental health representation. The heroine like has anxiety and like sensory issues, and I think the sort of underlying issue she might be on the spectrum. I don't think it's ever really directly addressed, maybe in the very end, but that is kind of the vibe that I got from the her experiences and her symptoms. But it's written so well, and I just really love the characters. They've been best friends for a long time, and the family has always been, because she comes from a big family, and the family has always been like, dude, like, why don't you just ask her to date you already? And they had gone on one date in college and it went terribly, and they just decided to be friends, and they've been best friends. And he is one of the only people she feels comfortable around, which is, you know, I love that trope. But and so they've never really pursued anything further, but he has been in love with her all of this time, and she definitely has feelings even if she doesn't know how to recognize and articulate them. But I loved this book. It's so cute. There's a lot of like really funny accident moments that happen between them. She has to take a break from her job. They work at like a personal training gym, and she works with him at like this hiking adventure like tour guide thing for a while, and there were a lot of really funny things that happened at that job. It was just so much fun, and getting to see them like get more comfortable with each other and talk and discover what they both feel, it was just really good. And that's technically my whole list, but I'll add a little bonus one that I thought of a little bit ago, was By the Book by Jasmine Guillory, that also I think would be considered a closed-door romance. I just read it, and yet now I'm thinking, I'm like, was it? I'm pretty sure that it stays fairly clean, much cleaner than her other books, that's for sure. And I really enjoyed that one. That is about a girl who works at a book publishing company, and she has to go to the house of this like celebrity who's supposed to be writing a memoir about his life, and get him to actually write it, because it's like a huge deal for the publishing company that they'd like the money for. So she gets there and tries to get him to actually write, and they get to know each other and they fall in love, and it is just the cutest thing ever. Jasmine Guillory always writes such incredible books. I will say, if you read any of her other ones, those are definitely not closed door, but I love all her books. So that is my list. If you like this, please let me know. I don't know if I'm the only one that likes to just kind of switch it up. I don't like to always read you know, very spicy books. Sometimes I just need to switch up the pace, you know, just switch up what I'm reading. But either way, I hope you enjoyed this video. I upload videos every Sunday. Like, share, subscribe, and all that fun stuff, and I will see you guys next time. Bye.